and not cling on to my hot drink for dear life, but... Hello my loves, and thank you for joining me. It's Kirsten and we're at the start of another weekly reading vlog, and this week is dedicated to reading two books that I think are going to become new all-time favourite reads, or 5-star predictions. So we have two books I'm very excited for. Hopefully they're going to live up to the expectations that I have. We have one sci-fi, one fantasy. The sci-fi is Gideon the Ninth by Tamsin Muir, and the fantasy is The Traitor Barrow Cormorant by Seth Dickinson. I cannot wait for these. Like, honestly, I've actually already started Gideon the Ninth. I started this last night at work. I only read the first 2 chapters, so we're up to chapter 3, page 35. And this one is about Gideon. We're following Gideon. She is on this necromancer world, basically. I'm only a couple chapters in, so I have a very thin grasp of what's actually going on. But we seem to be in this world where there are different worlds, because obviously it's set in space, so there's different worlds. And in this world, on the 9th, they are focused on death, really. They are able to reanimate skeletons and things. It's a lot of drudgery work, and Gideon is there. Now, she's not a necromancer. She was raised as a baby there, and it's a bit of a mystery as to why she's even there and what happened. But she is currently trying to escape, and that's what we see, and her escape gets foiled by Harrow, who is the princess of this world. So it's necromancers in space. I do believe there is a bit of a sapphic romance going on. And yeah, we'll see. Gideon seems to be a kind of no-nonsense, tough as nails kind of gal. So we'll see how that goes. But so far, I like the writing style. And I think it's going to be a good read, because I'm really intrigued by the necromancer things. Like, we've just had a display of Harrow using her necromancer abilities, and I feel like it's going to be really interesting. I also think this is going to be a really quite dark and gritty book at times because of like the necromancer elements. So I'm really intrigued to see how this goes. Now, I do actually have this as an ebook as well, because I got it from my library using the Libby app. So I'm going to be reading this one on my lunch breaks at work. I don't know if I'm going to be annotating. We'll see. I've heard it's quite complicated, so it might help, but I have the ebook, so that's going to be really good to be able to read that as I go around doing anything at work, my lunch breaks, etc. And then we have The Traitor Barrow Cormorant, and technically I have started this one, but I want to restart what I read. So this time last year, I was reading this on my way to New York, and I really enjoyed it. I got like 100 pages in, really enjoyed what I read, but I was reading from the UK paperback edition, and I hate that cover so much. So I decided to get myself these US editions if I saw them. I saw the whole trilogy, picked up the whole trilogy, was planning to start reading these straight away, and then it just never happened, because I knew I was really going to enjoy this one. From those first 100 pages, like, I think it has the potential to be an absolute new favourite fantasy. Dark fantasy, we're following Barrow, and the place that she's from, her home country, has been taken over slowly by this other empire. They're trying to take over the whole world, and the way they did this, they started off really slowly. They started off with going to their place and just starting to sell goods, and they would accept the locals' money, but then they would give back their money and not the locals' currency, so that the next time they came along, the locals would be forced to only buy from them. And so it was like all these slow little things that they did to slowly take over and annihilate Barrow's home's way of life, their way of thinking, everything. And so Barrow is determined to bring them down, but she's going to do it from the inside. And that means that she has to gain their trust, that she agrees with everything they're doing, and that she is the model person. And so it involves her doing some really dreadful things to gain their trust. And it kind of is that question of, but how far is too far? Because as much as the reasons why she's doing all this is because she's trying to bring them down, and so the ends, but do they justify the means? Like, and that's what I liked. I like the questioning of all of this. So I really cannot wait to reread this first bit and then actually continue on with this book. So yeah, these are the two books that I'm reading for this week. I think they're going to be absolute new favourites. really excited to get into them. So yeah, this is what we're going to be reading this week. I hope you're all doing really well. Let me know what you've been up to, what you've been reading. Have you read either of these and what did you think of them? But right now my camera battery is flashing at me. I want to do some lunch, so we're going to get on with that, and I'm going to start my first half reread and then continue with this book. Anyway, we're going to start this, and I'm going to get some tabs and we're going to tab it, and we're going to have a freaking amazing time with both of these books. Just showered, hence the very scraggly hair. But yesterday I did some good amount of reading and I'm very pleased with it. I should probably hold up the books and not cling on to my hot drink for dear life, but it's a bit of a challenging choice, I'm not gonna lie, this morning. Books. Let's do books. Obviously we know the two books that I'm reading this week. Let's start off with the Traitor Barrow Cormorant, because I am up to page 45 in the middle of a chapter, because these chapters are quite long but we have chapter breaks in the page, so it's not too bad, and I am loving this. Like, I don't know, can I get you to see the tab? Yeah, see, that's the amount of tabs we've got going already in just the first 45 pages. Like, it's a bit insane, but the tabbing system that we have, honestly I love this copy. It has been so good to read from. It's just so nice and large and floppy, and it means that like the map's bigger, and oh, I love it. I do love this edition. Back to the tabs. So we have 5 different tabs going on. We have this kind of dusky pink for quotes that I love. As always, that is a staple one that I use, and then the rest of the tabs is what changes depending on the book. So we have this dark blue for colonization, because as I mentioned, we're following Barrow as her home has been conquered by this emperor. It's called, they're kind of known as the Masks. They are the Masquerade Empire, because they believe in control, in having a mask to do important things, and if you don't have control and can't manage things well, then what's different between you and an animal? And so yeah, a lot of colonization, how they did it, there's so much of it at the start. I imagine as it gets through the book that will get a little bit less, and I think the other tabs will come in more. There was a lot because it really spoke about how they were doing it, the small slow changes that they did to wreck this country in such an efficient way. It was honestly terrifying. Then we have purple for rebellion and revenge. So this is to do with Barrow. It's to do with those first initial sparks of rebellion and wanting revenge for different things that have happened. So Barrow's home is very welcoming, in the sense that Barrow herself has 2 fathers and a mother, and it's a common practice that their homes are a lot more multifaceted and relationships are a lot more polyamorous, and it's really lovely. But the Masquerade hates that. They detest that. They go, this is unnatural, it is against law. And so they are teaching the children very young, because they build these schools, to turn against their families, to show that this is wrong. You cannot, like, girls cannot love other girls, men cannot love other men. It is one man, one woman, and that is it. It is final. It's the only way it can be. And they are devastating to people that do not conform to this. Violent and horrible, and you know, I mean, Barrow doesn't see all the depths of that. She is a child, so she doesn't see all of the violence and that, but she knows it's happening and it affects her family, and those are the seeds of rebellion, and she starts doing little rebellions when she's at this school, and you know, you see all of that. Now the first 45 pages, it does cover quite a lot, because it covers the invasion, it covers the treaty, how it doesn't really do things, but it's all from Barry's perspective as a child. And then it covers the first bit of her schooling really quickly in a really condensed way, because then the rest of the book is focused on now that she is an adult, now that she has graduated from the school and she's been given this position within the empire, she's now going to tear them down from the inside out. So it actually reminds me a bit like, oh, I should go get it, hang on, what the Will of the Many was trying to do, in the sense that you have this nation that is conquering other nations. We have a main character that comes from a conquered nation, except he is just wanting to survive. He doesn't want to overthrow things, he doesn't want to do a rebellion until he gets caught up in things and other players start using him. He is a pawn on a chessboard to be utilised. Burrow is different. Burrow is going, I am going to take them apart from the inside out. She is incredibly smart, she picks up things really well, she's also incredibly ruthless to get to what she wants. So I think this is the problem that I had with The Will of the Many. It was good because where this book glosses over the time in the school in the first 45 pages, The Will of the Many is basically in the school of the oppressors, and you're seeing the way they think, the way that they do things. And so for that I liked it, because it was giving me what we don't really get in here, apart from, like, we get a very condensed version of it in here. But I hated the main character because he was just so willing to be used as a pawn all the time. Like, he didn't really have his own motivations and things, whereas Barrow is like, no, I'm going to use the system, I am going to wreck them so that what happened to my home and my father's will never happen to anyone else ever again. So honestly, if you liked The Will of the Many, I would say give this one a try. If you didn't get on with this one and you wanted more from it, more from the plot, more from what's actually going on in the society, read this one. I much prefer this one. Still going to read the second book of The Will of the Many, it's not my favourite. But yeah, so that book kind of focuses on the school, whereas this one brushes over the school. Not that it doesn't highlight things that are going on, because it does. It highlights important lessons that they're being taught, which showcases how they're trying to brainwash the children of the society, because they do. They start young, they don't even bother with the adults, and the children that don't take to their ideas, well, they get booted back home. So that was colonisation. that was a wild to talk about one tab, because the school is part of that. The school is part of colonising these people to teach them their ways, because, you know, your ways are wrong. And the rebellion and revenge and all of that it's all tied in really well. Then we have this light green, and we have how women in society are valued as part of this masquerade empire, and it's atrocious. But I know, again, we're going to see more of that as we go through, so I've only got like 2 tabs of that at the minute. But again, Barry was younger, she's seeing these from a child's eyes, there were comments and stuff that I picked up on. And then we have this bottom one in like this kind of creamy colour, and that is sterile / draconian rule, and that is how the masquerade rules, which we learn more of as we go, which obviously Barrow started learning about in the school, how they are so rigid about things. You will get a lot more of that because now that Barrow is older, she's graduated from the school and she's going off to this other country to work for the emperor. Things are going to get tense, very tense. And I keep saying emperor, it's not emperor, it's empire of Mars, it's the empire, and you have obviously all the people in government and stuff. But yeah, really good, absolutely loving it. It's taken me a while to read because I am really taking my time with tabs, and as you can see, I've used so many in these first. I honestly imagine that this is going to be one of my most annotated books, because there is just so much that I can talk about in this. And these, I mean, this is a sort of fantasy book that I really like when you can pull this much from it. But yeah, so definitely going to continue on with that today. Really enjoyed it. I can't believe I've spoken for 10 minutes just about tabs. And then while I was at work, I made good progress with Gideon the Ninth. I'm now up to Act 2. So we are on page 87. I'm enjoying this. This is broken down into different parts, quite a few from the looks of it. I think there's about 4 or 5 parts in here, which is not so bad. Like, I don't mind that. This first part was interesting. So far people say this is a really confusing book, and for me doesn't feel that confusing yet, but I am only up to Act 2, as I've said. This one, we have Gideon. Obviously I said she was trying to escape off this 9th planet. She is really fed up of everything. She doesn't like being there. She doesn't like the fact that everything is dark and dingy, nothing grows, everything around her is skeletons, there are very few actual living people here, and the fact that Harrow is a psychopath as far as she's concerned. Obviously her escape plan gets foiled because of Harrow, the princess of this 9th planet. I'm not sure if it's a 9th planet, 9th ruling society. Like basically you have the first of the necromancers and then you have 8 subsequent ones. Each one, it seems like it's going to be specialising in something slightly different to do with necromancy, which is very interesting. We know this because Harrow got summons to go to the first. So the first planet, like they did have to travel through space to get there. So the first planet where their emperor resides but no longer goes back to, like hasn't been there for years, and basically there is this trial going on to try and become a lictor, probably mispronouncing that. Harrow is desperate to go in, however she needs a cavalier, a bodyguard as it were. She chooses Gideon to be her bodyguard, which Gideon's like, oh hell no, I hate your ass, why would I want to be your bodyguard? They work up a deal and stuff. Gideon doesn't have much choice anyway, so you know. But when they arrive at this other planet, you have other delegations, other representatives from all the other ones as well. So they all have one delegate, which is normally the prince, the princess, the duchess, someone important within the society, plus their cavalier. And they learn that they have to try and work out how they're going to learn and pass whatever it is it takes to be the lictor. And the problem is where they're saying, the people are like, well, we don't know. Why would we know? This is so important. Surely as perspectives for this thing that it gives you a lot of prestige and stuff, and it means that you can live forever and everything, surely you'll be able to work this out on your own. So they're in this crumbling palace, it's really gothic-y and stuff, and it's all going to go from there. So it seems like it's going to be a series of trials, of learning, of exploring this place, and of course necromancy involved. So far doesn't sound that confusing. I'm kind of keeping up with this. I'm liking this so far. It's really fun, really easy to read. I like Gideon as a character. As I've said, I really like her sarcasm, her sass and everything. It is so much fun, and I'm really intrigued to find out more about this universe that is built on necromancers. Like, it sounds really fascinating and I really can't wait to learn more. So yeah, I think this is going to be great. So far I'm really enjoying it, and because I know it's about lesbian necromancers in space, I do believe that the romance is going to be between Gideon and Harrow, which I love the idea of enemies to lovers bodyguard romance. I think this is going to be great if that's the way it plays out. I mean, if it ends up being a completely different love interest, I'll be really surprised. This is good. So yeah, both of these books, absolutely amazing. I'm really enjoying them, especially, I mean, come on, I updated literally yesterday and I've just spent 15 minutes chattering on about these books because I'm enjoying them so much. That is always good. But right now I actually need to edit. I need to get some editing done. I've got a couple of bits I want to get done for the reset video. I need to prep for another video and then do some lunch and then hopefully be able to read a bit more of this before work. But yeah, I'm loving these books. Honestly, if I can get both of these finished this week and have them both be ultimate new favourites, I really want to carry on with the series and finish them out. I'm going to be so excited. I'm really pleased that I have the second book of both of these already. So I have the whole trilogy of this one and I have Harrow the Ninth already. I actually picked up Harrow the Ninth first because that was only 99p. It was on special offer. Well, it wasn't even a special, it was in the sale section of Forbidden Planet because it had a tiny little Mar in the cover for 99p. So I had to get it. And then obviously I needed the first one. So I'm pleased I've got both of them ready to go. So if I really enjoy these and I want to carry on straight away, I can. Which I can't in May because I've already set out my TBR for May. But in June, I definitely could. And I think this would be a really good pick to continue on in June anyway, just because of being Pride Month. It would work so well. Very pleased. Anyway, I am going to stop talking. I do have lots of editing to do. So let's get on and do all of that. actually read as much as I thought I was going to over the last couple of days. So with Gideon the Ninth, I'm now up to Chapter 16, page 179. I'm still really enjoying this one. I think it's got really interesting. As I said, we arrived at this world of the first necromancers, and there's this like gothic mansion-y type building, and we discover some like laboratory setting underneath it all, which is really interesting. I really like that. I like the fact that we have these different kind of trials that the necromancers have to overcome, but only if you're smart enough to actually work it out, which Harrow is, and she is kind of flying ahead of the race, trying to work out the different things. I like learning more about the necromancer abilities and what Harrow is actually able to do. I find that really interesting, and honestly it's just really creepy. I think what the setting where they're at, with it being this really creepy gothic type mansion with an abandoned laboratory full of really weird experiments, like I really like that setting. And we see Gideon and how she's interacting with the other necromancers and their cavaliers, and I like that. I like seeing the interactions between them all. So I'm enjoying this. I still really like it. I like the humour in here. I like the banter that you get between different things, the way Gideon sees things. I really like. It's really fun. And you're starting to see Harrow and Gideon get to, well, not like each other, but tolerate each other slightly more. So that's quite fun. Like I'm enjoying this one a lot, but unfortunately it's been a manic couple of days at work, so I haven't been able to spend much time reading on my lunch break. Hopefully I can read a little bit more today, but we'll see what happens. But I am really enjoying this one. Like I'm so pleased. I've already said this, but I'm so pleased I've got the second book, so I can just go dive in straight into this hopefully in June for the second book. I'd really like to do that, because this is just entertaining. It's really fun. I like the way Gideon's so like forward thinking with her sword rather than anything else most of the time, and I don't know, I just really like it. I like the dynamic between Gideon and Harrow and just seeing their hatred for one another, and you know, it's good. It's really, really good. I think I'm more likely to annotate this on a reread though, just because this is science fiction. I'm trying to get to terms with all the different things, and while it's not overly confusing for me at the moment, it's still a little bit more complex. And I think the main things that I would be annotating right now is the little comments between Gideon and Harrow, because I love it. So definitely would annotate this upon reread. I love this book. Like it's so floppy and just satisfying. I'm in love with it, honestly. So yeah, so this is really good. And then with The Traitor, I have read a bit more. I'm now up to part 2, Warlord, page 140. And this is where I got up to the book the first time round that I read it. So after this point, everything's going to be brand new to me. But I'm really pleased I reread it, because there is a lot, honestly, you could say it gets a little bit confusing, because Barrow is an accountant on this country that she's at. And she has been sent there by the Masquerade to kind of sort out what is going on in this particular place, because they need it strategically. They need this particular country. However, it is rife with rebellion all the time. People are constantly rebelling, and so it is Gideon's? No, it is Barrow's job to try and find out what's actually going on, but the previous 2 accountants have both died, so there's a lot of trials that Barrow's got to face. As a result of her being an accountant though, you see how the monetary structure, how all of that is so important within a rebellion, within conquering places, and so there is a lot of talk about that and the way Barrow goes about it. I mean, honestly, it's brutal what she does, and she does it to justify the fact that, well, I need to, because I need to make change from within. I can only get within if I succeed at this, and so I'm going to do it this way. And it's terrible. It has terrible consequences, and you see Barrow just like, this is what I mean by this is a darker book, in the sense that Barrow makes these terrible decisions because she's like, yes, but in the end it means I can do XYZ, and so I will get there. I think a really good quote for it actually was, she's talking to another character, and the other character, Tenhu, says, "You will find no power behind the mask. It will wear you. It will eat your face away. You would do more for your home if you tore it all down. You will pay a terrible price. You will lose yourself." And Barrow replies, "Any price, any sacrifice is the only way to take a piece of their power for our own." And Barrow means it. Any sacrifice. Anything Barrow has to do to accomplish her goal, she will do. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed rereading this first part. You can see still tabbing like crazy, really enjoyed it. Definitely in the first 50 pages I've got more tabs because it is, you can argue it is quite info dumpy because you learn a lot about the masquerade, the Empire of Masks, in a very short amount of time. But I also don't mind that because I think it really gives you a good understanding of what is going on. And yeah, now I'm just really intrigued to see what is going to happen in this, well, the rest of the book. I think I've still got 250-ish pages left to go. So I'm really intrigued to see how this is all going to go, what's going to happen in these 250 pages, like, because obviously I haven't read this part, so I'm really excited. I think it's going to be really good. So hopefully I'm going to read a bit more of this morning. I've got a little bit of editing to do, not loads, so I'm going to sit down, dedicate it a good bit of reading time to this. I have been finding I am reading it slower because I'm annotating, but I'd rather take my time with this one so that I actually know what's going on. Again, it can be quite complex at times, but I'm enjoying it. And then hopefully at work I can get a good chunk of this read. Then I've got 2 days off, so this one will become my traveling book because I have it on the Libby app as an ebook, so I'll read this one as I'm traveling around, which I will be doing a little bit of on Wednesday, and then we're back to work Friday morning. So we'll see how much we can get read over the next few days. I'm really enjoying both of these books. I do want them both finished by the end of this week, which I think I can manage. I think I can manage that quite nicely. The thing is, so Gideon to me feels like it's a good one to pair with the Traitor Barracomerant just because the Traitor Barracomerant is so dark in what it's doing. Like, it's quite depressing, honestly. Whereas Gideon, it's dark. It's got a really dark, gritty setting with really dark, gritty characters, and I love that. But there's also the humour in there. There's like lots of banter, and so it feels like a lighter read. So I actually am really enjoying having both of these paired together. And while I wouldn't necessarily pair two more complex books together because they're more complex, I don't know, for some reason it's working for me, and I'm really enjoying both of these reads. So far, having these two as 5-star predictions or new favourite books, yeah, I think that's actually going to happen because I'm enjoying these so much. We'll see if it continues that way. But yeah, I'm really, really enjoying these. I'm having such a good time. But right now, I do need to get on and edit. I am a bit boring. I always do the exact same things. If I'm on a late shift, then you can guarantee that in the morning I'm going to read a little bit before work, and I'm also going to edit and maybe cook, and that's about it. I don't do much else. And then if I'm on an early shift, I'll go to work first, and then I'll come home and edit and read, and I'm a very boring person. This is all I do, but thanks for wanting to watch it anyway. Was I gonna say anything else? No, well, tonight I'm going over to my partner's after work, and then tomorrow we're out for lunch together before he has work, and I do need to do some food shopping, so I think I'm definitely gonna bring you along for that. I feel like it's been ages since we've done a food shopping montage. Anyways, yeah, that's it. I think Thursday we're gonna get my nails done, but I'll probably talk to you before that anyway. That's it. Not a lot going on, but the books are amazing. And that is the main thing. Like, honestly, freaking amazing books. They're just really good. I would highly recommend both. Afternoon. I have had a very busy and productive morning, but a good couple of days actually. It's my second day off, and yesterday was really nice. I went to my partner's after work on Tuesday, and yesterday we went out for lunch, and it was really nice. We tried this like loaded hash brown thing, and we also found a little bakery place that we haven't been to that's near Seven Dials. Don't know if you know London, but that's near Seven Dials, Covent Garden way. Really nice. It was a really nice morning. And then the evening I just flopped. So I did my food shopping, was really tired at this point, but managed to get it all done, came back home, was planning to read, and just collapsed instead and went to sleep. But it was a good time. I really enjoyed my day. When it comes to reading, I have read quite a bit of Gideon the Ninth. So I'm now up to Act 4, page 289, and things are getting so interesting. There's a bit of a mystery going, like it's so good. I'm really enjoying this. I can't wait to get back into it. I don't have much left at all. How many pages is this? Oh, okay, so I have exactly 200 pages left. That's perfect. I'm at work for the next 3 days, and I imagine I'm gonna have this finished within 2 because I'm enjoying this so much and it's so good, so fast paced. I know lots of people say it's confusing, but for me, I think the thing that put me off was the fact that people were saying how confusing this book was, and I personally haven't found it that confusing. Like, don't get me wrong, it's complex, there's lots of moving parts going on. I personally don't find it confusing. I don't mind having a complex storyline with lots of moving parts. Like, this is really good. I really like how dark and gritty it is. I like the fact that we have the different necromancers, the different types of necromancers, and how that affects different things. I'm enjoying learning about the different types. I'm also enjoying this kind of like murder mystery thing that's going on, and also this competition and the fact that we don't really know what this competition is, what they have to do, but I'm enjoying it. So personally for me, I would say if you've been put off because you think it's confusing, give it a try anyway. Because I worried about that, as I said, and I just haven't found it as confusing as I thought it was going to be. So I think give this one a try. If you like dark, gritty stories, necromancers, in space, and honestly the space setting, like the sci-fi elements of it, is not that confusing in like technicality terms for the science fiction, so I think that really works. I think it just works as a cool setting that they're in space. I would give this a try. Like, I think it's really good. I don't know whether the second book gets a bit more complex, but I think that's the word that should be used rather than confusing. I would say it's complex, and complex to me I like. So yeah, complex, not confusing. I'm really enjoying it. I mean, obviously it could be confusing for others, like especially if you're not used to more complex storylines, but it's definitely just intricate. There's lots of things going on, but I find that so interesting and it keeps the pace moving really fast. Alternatively, The Traitor Barrow Cormorant, I have not read much of. I managed 30 pages yesterday, so in total I'm now up to page 225, and I end up stopping halfway through a chapter because I was just too tired. I couldn't focus on it, and you can tell because in those last 30 pages I did one tab and that's it. And I do find that when I'm tabbing a book, if I'm tired, I will just not tab as much because it requires too much thinking. I would like to get a good chunk of this read today. I think of this one, I've got 150 pages left to go. So again, I think I could definitely get this finished up over the next couple of days, but I am going on to early shifts, so whether I'll be too tired, I'm not sure. So if I can get a good chunk of this read today, that would be really good, and I am really feeling it. So I would like to get more of this read, but I can't really comment on the little bit that I read, apart from like things are changing, things are spinning, but I don't want to get into what's going on now because that would just be spoiler territory. The initial setup of the book, of it being, well, Barrow's working from the inside to take down this empire that took over her home, that's kind of on the back. Like, we know that. That's not spoilers, but the intricate parts and the things that Barrow's now doing, that would be spoilers, so I'm not going to get into that. But I'm really enjoying it, enjoying the direction that Barrow's going in, and I'm really curious to see how it's all going to end. So yeah, this I would like to read more of today, which I think I'll do maybe after lunch. I'm gonna have some lunch, and then maybe before I get to editing, I'm gonna read for an hour. Because I actually edited this morning, so I had my nail appointment. I went for pointy little nails this time. I really like it. I like how simple this is. I like the colour. I know it makes me feel really witchy and I absolutely love it. So yeah, so I'm really, really happy with those. But before I had my appointment, because that was at 10, I spent the morning starting to edit 2 videos. So I got all the clips together for them both, chose the music, and just kind of did the intro clips. So when I'm starting to edit a video, that's what I like to do. I like to collate all the current clips that I have for it, get it all in order, choose the music, and then if that hasn't taken me too long, then I'll edit the first intro clip. And normally if I'm starting to edit a video, that's all I do that day, because normally that's like before work or after work or something. Because I managed to do that this afternoon, I think I might continue on with editing both of those, because they're both kind of vlog style videos. So I'm planning to do some like b-roll and then edit an update and do that on both, and then I'll be happy with my progress for editing those, because I'm actually quite ahead of myself, which I love. I love the fact that I can get ahead. But I came home to this, and this is an art print that I'm really excited about. So I have been planning this print for months. I saw this print towards the end of last year, and I just fell in love with it. And so I have been planning what I want, the frame I want. Let me get the frame, which I finally found in a charity shop a couple months ago. And I'm really pleased with this oval frame because the print that I have been wanting for months now is this. Look how cool this is. I am obsessed with it. I think it is so cool. It's going to go up on my like more Victorian wall thing that I've got going on. So I'm definitely going to be putting that together after lunch. And I think it should fit nicely. What I might do is just put a piece of black backing paper in case there's any corners or a slight little bit, but I think this is going to fit perfectly, so I'm really excited. So I think what I'm going to do is maybe do this before lunch because the house is empty, and that way I can just quickly knock in a nail in the wall without bothering anyone with the sound. Then I can do some lunch, then we'll read, and then we'll get back to editing, and then that's kind of my day done really, because I'm going to be sleeping early, and then just getting ready for work, so I'm not doing much, and then yeah, then I've got work for the next couple of days. So I think the next update will just be me when I finished both of these books. So either Saturday afternoon or Sunday, depending on when I get these finished, and then we'll wrap it up from there. But I'm loving this week. Honestly, at this point, I can say both of these books are new favourites. I am loving them so much, and I'm loving Gideon the Ninth so much more than I thought I was going to. Like, I've just loved it. It is so good. It is so dark and gritty. I love the different elements of it. Really happy with both, and so far we can say these are 5-star reads, because as I say, I don't do star ratings, but if it's a new favourite, they're 5 stars. You know, they're going to be 5 stars. So yeah, I'm really enjoying them both. So I want to finish those. Really intrigued to see how they're gonna go, because they're both getting quite dark, and love it. Absolutely love it. Oh no, wait, I forgot. Hang on. I bought a book. Because after my nails, I had to post a book for my sister, so I've done that. And then I was looking at my Waterstones points, because at the end of the month, so in next week's vlog, I am going book shopping with my dad. I'm very excited. I have been very good with my book buy-in, and apart from pre-orders this month, I haven't actually bought a book, but the pre-orders are something that I had in place months ago, so doesn't technically count as far as I'm concerned. Apart from those, I haven't done any book buying, so I've been saving it all for when I go book shopping with my dad, because it's just before my birthday. So this is a mixture of points that I've got to use up and also birthday treat for myself, because why not? But then I saw I was one stamp away from having £30 on my Waterstones card, which I can then use on the book shopping weekend. So I thought, well, it makes sense if I spend the £10 now, so that by the time the weekend comes, that stamp is on the system and I have £30 to use up. It made sense in my head. Okay, it's girl math. Whether that actually works or not, I don't know. But I picked up a book. There was a couple I was looking at, but decided on this one. This is Fruit of the Dead by Rachel Lyon, and this is so pretty. I love it. I kind of prefer the US edition because it's white with a pink pill, and this artwork is done in like just line work, whereas we've got more of an actual art gallery style. But in person, I really like this. So this is a darker book. From what I've heard, it is a darker book. It is a Hades and Persephone retelling, but from Persephone and Demeter's perspective, done in a contemporary setting with a pharmaceutical company as the setting of it all, because the love interest of the Hades of this is the head of a pharmaceutical company, I believe. And then we have a power dynamic because we have the head of a company with a very young intern, and that's where it comes in. And it's not how some of the Hades and Persephone retellings are, where it goes, oh, it's a love story. No, this focuses on how it's not a love story. There is a power dynamic issue here. It is not good, and we're seeing it from the Persephone's perspective, so the young girl in this, whose name is Corey. She's 18, and we also see it from Demeter, so her mum's perspective, who is Emma, and she is determined to try and help her daughter and save her from this situation. So I'm really intrigued at that. That sort of premise really sparks my want, because it's a mythology interpretation in a contemporary setting, but focusing on the lesser told version of the story. Because at the end of the day, Hades and Persephone is done as a love story. Persephone was stolen. So is it really a love story or is it just Stockholm Syndrome? So yeah, so I'm really looking forward to this. I think it's going to be absolutely fantastic, and it's not that long, so I don't think it's going to take long to read. I would really like to get to this soon. I can't in May because I've already got a lot on my TBR for that. I can't in April, so maybe in June, but I think this will be a really good summer read anyway. If not in June, definitely in July. I just think it's going to be fantastic. So I'm really, really excited about this, and I absolutely love it. So I'm really pleased I picked this up today. This is one of the books that I had on my list to get on the weekend, so I haven't actually done anything extra than what I was planning to do. I've just done it early so I can use the points. It makes sense to me. Okay. Now we're going to go put the picture up, and then we'll do some lunch and get to reading and all of that jazz, and I'll catch up with you in a couple days' time. Not prepared for the emotional turmoil that these books put me through. Are we kidding right now? Nobody, not one of you, prepared me for the ending of Gideon the Ninth. Not a single person. I went into this blindly thinking it was just going to be a fun time because Gideon is hilarious. I love following her perspective. She is so much fun. She is so sarcastic. I really like her attitude. Like, I just like everything about her. She was such a fun character to follow and so complex. Like, you really got to understand her and see the different depths and levels. So you really connected to everything. Then Harrow as well, getting to know them more, and the turn of events that this book takes though, because you meet loads of other characters and you really get to know them, and it is just hit after hit after hit, and then the very ending, sobbing. I was sobbing, and I'm not going to tell you why at all, not a single thing, but I loved this. I loved this book so much. Like, Gideon was such a fantastic character to follow, and I cannot wait to see what happens in the next book. Like, it is such an interesting world that we've been given. I'm so intrigued to see where it's going to go. I definitely want to read the second book soon. It's so good. So yeah, definitely a new favourite book for me. This was superb. Absolutely superb. I can think of nothing else but praise for this book. There wasn't a single thing in this book that I felt like didn't need to be in there, that I felt like was a bit drawn out or a bit too long or pacing was off. Like, it was just so well done. I loved the mysteries, I loved the darkness, I loved getting to know our characters, like everything. Seeing the relationship between Gideon and Harrow and that slow mending because of everything they've been through. Like, it was fantastic. It was so good. I loved it. Gut-wrenching sobs at the end of this book. Like, it got to me and I was not prepared, and nobody prepared me for this. And so when it happened, like, I had a really bad headache yesterday as well, and it was it just got to me. It was so good. Please read this book. I know I said it earlier in this vlog already, but don't be put off because people have said it is confusing. Like, it is complex. There are a lot of things going on, but it's so worth it. I really loved this. So yeah, please give this one a read. It's so good. And also don't be put off because it's sci-fi. Apart from the necromancer stuff, because you really get to grips with the different necromancer things and the different ways that's all fantastic. But in terms of actual like futuristic technology science, it's actually necromancer science, which I really enjoyed. It was so good. It was so good. And then we have The Traitor Baru Cormorant, and I did finish this one as well, and I did really enjoy this. I will say the middle part of this book, that felt a little bit slow to me, so I can actually say out of the two, I actually preferred Gideon. I loved this book, loved everything about it. This one I did really enjoy, and the ending of this, devastating, so good. But I kind of knew that something was going to happen because I have heard from other people, like from Reagan Peru's project. I will have her channel linked below. She said how brutal this ending was, and just the decisions that were made and the consequences of it all were just wow, like phenomenal. So I kind of knew something was coming, but it didn't detract from the sheer level of, oh my god, shock of what actually happened. Like, the reality of that did actually happen. Like, it was so good. But like I say, there was a tiny bit in the middle where I felt it was a little bit drawn out, and it's understandable because the part that's drawn out is actually really well explored, really well explained. It looks at things on a really deep level, which I did enjoy. I also think that because the last few days I have been very tired, there's been lots of other stuff going on in my personal life which I'm now having to deal with, and it's just been a lot. So because I'm reading this one only when I'm at home, I was very tired for a few evenings, so I couldn't focus as much, and that was all in that middle bit. And then yesterday I just binged the ending of this. Yesterday I actually took the time after work to just sit and finish both these books because I had 70 pages left of each. I adored it. Like, I loved it. It was great to binge read. But yeah, so I think that middle part is a mixture of things slowing down a little bit and things getting looked at in a really deep way in this particular aspect. But if you compare it to everything that happened in the first bit of the book, the pacing definitely slowed a little. Also combine that with the fact that I was very tired and dealing with a lot of things. So overall, this is still an all-time new favourite. Like, I would still really recommend this if you're looking for a fantasy book with a lot of morally grey decisions that are being made, and that question of, is the ending worth the means that it takes to get there? Like, is it really, can you really balance this out? It was really good. This has been a great reading week. I have adored both of these books. I really want to carry on with both series. If I could only carry on with one at a time, I would probably do Gideon first. I should say this one because this one is completed and this one we're waiting for the fourth book, but I would actually rather read the next two of these and then move on to this. I still really loved this one. Like, it was such a good book. Both of these, fantastic. Would highly recommend both. They were both intriguing. They both gripped me. I had such a good time, and they're both dark and gritty, and I loved it. I loved it. Great reading week. Really pleased that both these books have excelled into what I thought was going to happen, that these would be new favourites, aka 5-star read, and these have really succeeded in that. They're definitely going to be in my top 10 of the year. Like, at this point I've already got 4 books that are going to be in the top 10 of my year at this point in the year, which is amazing. Like, I'm so pleased with that. But it's time to wrap up this video, so thank you so much for watching. As I've already said, please let me know if you've read either of these or if you now want to, and let me know what are some of your books that you predict are going to be your new favourite reads. Like, I would be really intrigued to know those. But I am going to leave it there, so thank you so much for watching. If you've made it this far or you just don't know what you want to comment, you can leave a little star emoji in the comments below. And thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate each and every single one of you that takes the time to watch these videos. It really means a lot, so thank you. I am definitely going to go now, so if you have enjoyed, then please do give it that thumbs up, subscribe, comment. Those 3 things really help this channel out. My social media links and anyone I've mentioned will be linked below for you, and I will of course catch you in the very next video.